Getting ourselves back into it with a beloved and intrepid adventuring party. We find ourselves gathering once again as our party has managed to find themselves finally completing their task. Not only in the depths of some sort of mystical aura, or at least fantastical place known as the Amber Forest, a place on which the material plane and the area of the Feywild intersect very closely, and the lines blur between the connected realms. As we pick up where we last left our party has managed to convince themselves to not follow in the words of what seemed to have been some sort of corrupted spider, trying to get them to follow its words and perhaps free its master. In doing so, a small bout of frustration from this creature or whatever it is begging and asking for their help. But picking up once again, after trying to, not exactly push through, but more of circumvent the wide area encompassed by what seemed to be a fantastic display of beautiful web art. Making a rather old practitioner of elven druidism and Feywild magics, one known as Yavoric, a spidermancer or arachnomancer to some, proclaimed to have been done with the party and with any words they might have to speak, after hearing once again that not only have they spoken to something, but something that he rather much not prefer to listen about, being that of some sort of corrupted spider. Picking up where we last left off and getting back into our boots with that and back into character as well, we pick up just as our party has managed to be led by the usual small furry spider, roughly about the size of a palm of a normal human hand. You are dismissed by this spider, as it allows you this greeting, or at least farewell, as Clyde has put down a piece of, I believe you put down a piece of gold that had an engraving of a spider on it, correct?
It was a crimson-colored coin with the engraving of a spider, yeah.
Yes, that's right. That'll be interesting. Anyway, with that, as you do that, once again, the little spider does wave, and you do see the kind of remorse of not being able to speak to you. It seems he was told not to. But that is where we will pick up, and that is where we will get ourselves back into character. The floor is yours. What do you wish to do?
I presume that we are still trying to make our way out of this dimension, correct?
Not dimension, but yes, you're trying to make your way out of this forest. If you want to think of it as a dimension, you can.
All right. Are we still following the small spider?
No, as I said, the small spider has led you through the opening in the webs when the others came by and actually opened up, detaching the webbing and creating a pathway or a tunnel through this intricate display of webs to allow you to make it through.
I wonder, can Vullis look around, see if he notices anything anything familiar to them?
You've been through this area before, so most of this is familiar. But then again, you're traveling through an area where most of the place around is, well, tall redwoods and thick oak trees. So most of it looks familiar. Anyone could very easily get lost in this forest. but you have the guide. I mean, Aranut is able to lead you. He knows most of this area, not like the back of his hand, but he can guide you through it without being lost.
Hmm. Yes, whilst we're being guided.
Clyde would start to remind people to be careful of the flowers because they're back on the other side.
Flowers aren't for about another hour and a half.
Oh.
Because remember, you had to get through the spider webs, and then you walked another about 45 minutes to where you had to get to Daisy's little sanctum.
Clyde, I think we should be more worried about any of those traps those little buggers had tried to get us in before I got trapped in that web.
You also have to worry about the pox, the little kind of the things you called the puppy rocks, those little pox.
I don't know why I want one as a pet. Um,
Would
so
you like to try and take one?
I feel like if I try to take one, something bad will happen.
Well, you could certainly try.
Well, I feel like if we try to take one, we're not getting out of the Feywilds alive.
That
Who
is
knows?
very much true. But we're still in the area where the pox are, right?
No, you're making it to them. Because currently, here, let me give you a small, like, kind of a basic or little area idea of where you are. I'll go ahead and make a point. So,
But yeah, no, we
just
definitely be in pieces.
in the area where you're making your way from Daisy Sanctum, let's say this area. And now you need to walk through through the convoluted mess of Feywild and natural material plane material through the main spider web that just encompasses a massive area around the forest. Through that, and then make it all the way back to the southern end where the little pock farm is. And then after that, you need to make your way back around this area, back to the gate you came in. Does that kind of help? Does that have a little bit of a helping notion?
So we're roughly around this area, right?
No, you're past that area. You're about
over here.
Yeah, you're about there.
Okay. He kind of looks around. I guess whilst they're heading to the Pock farm, Wells is gonna see if there's any herbs or any like unique gems that are at least as they're walking over towards the Pox farm.
Sure. Go ahead and make me a general perception check.
18.
18. Looking around, most of the area around here is natural. So you wouldn't find any large outcroppings of stone or any gems that are just kind of immediately out front and presenting themselves. But, I mean, it is very beautiful out here. A lot of the lights that kind of shine glimmer much like that of gems. But other than that, every once in a while you kind of have to... Is that a plant or is that a gem? That's just a luminescent plant. Damn it. That sort of thing.
Mm.
If they eat gems, do they also eat like metals?
I don't know. Maybe you should try and give one to them.
I'm gonna try and give them. Hold on, give me 1 second. My sheet is
Not there yet.
You're not there yet, but you can plan for what you want to give them.
Yes, of course.
Hey, Clyde, wanna help me try to look for any herbs or anything? Maybe I could try to make something special with something here.
I don't think we should take anything from here.
Well, I mean, we asked nicely before about the fruit, and they seem to not mind. If it's just a simple yes no thing.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't want to get killed. The trees are watching. You kind of like look around, getting flashbacks to when the trees had eyes before.
The tree. I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees, and the trees are speaking Sylvan or Sylvan.
Symphony.
Yeah, Sylvanese.
No, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. If you talk smack, I'll break your knees.
No. That's you're going a bit too far into it. The Lorax is the one that's going to beat the shit out of you. The trees are.
Yeah.
I mean, you say that, but I mean, we've met two of these walking trees already. Wait, would both know that they're Ents?
I mean, Aaron was the one who actually told you that Vonanum, the original the first creature you guys ran into in the Amber Forest was Vonanum, a very, very ancient ent.
Hmm. Well, glad we've met. What was it? Two Ents already, and they seemed rather friendly.
A question: when was the second ent we met? Apologies, I don't remember meeting a second one. And this
Wasn't
is
it
Aaron.
that?
I
Wasn't
remember the eyes. I don't remember a second ent.
I believe that either that fruit tree person. Well,
Oh no, that's not an ent. This is a tree.
oh,
I can see where you
living
might make
tree.
the slight difference and perhaps the acquaintance between the two, but no. An ent is a shepherd of the trees. It can move and can gather trees in certain areas.
hmm.
But that was just a tree, given sentience of life by whatever, well, whatever creature in this Feywild area has given.
What about the one that started to make the first half of the medicine, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, her. Don't call her an ent if you ever want to live to see tomorrow.
Oh,
That's a lot of things in these woods.
fair enough, fair enough. Just a curious mind.
She is much older than even me. And I'm. And you see, he
How
actually
old
starts
are you?
counting it out on his fingers. And it takes him like 12 minutes. I'm about 134. She, I believe, predates even me by many hundred years.
Fair enough. Was no harm to ask, but mm, I guess in this mindset, it's well, a little bit is. Um, actually, do, I do have a question. Do you think those pucks we're about to head to their area? Do you think they're tameable, or do you think they're like the other
I
creatures?
quite frankly have no idea about that. All I know is that most of the creatures in here, well, tameable. Other things would be rather displeased if you did. The idea of the Amber Forest laid by from the matrons and the prince are that many of the creatures here are of their own free will. If they follow you, it is out of their own want. If not, you cannot force it to do anything.
Hmm. All right then. And there's like a satisfactory nod coming from Volus, so I guess he just continues his gaze for what herbs or by any chance any gems.
Okay. Looking for herbs, I'll just say make me a survival check.
Survival. Here we go. 17.
17. You find a beautiful bunch of herbs, and it's actually in a really peculiar spot because you're looking around and you could have sworn it wasn't there before.
Hey, were those always there? Guys looks quiet and narrow.
Rowan looks over. What?
Those herbs over there.
They're plants. Why wouldn't they be?
Well, I mean, when we came through here before, I don't believe they were there. At least when I was searching about this area before.
Rowan looks over to Nero. Do you think plants can move?
I wouldn't put it past them here. Have you seen this place?
You're supposed to be on my side with this. He looks back to you, kind of exasperated, Volus. All right, maybe. Okay, maybe they moved there. Who knows? Looks back over to you, Nero. Dick.
And then he kind of just gazes over to their Fae-like friend. Do you happen to know what these herbs are? Or if you know that these are sentient?
Arnott comes over and looks at him. Let me think about it. Yes, I don't know what these are. These are what known as pixie fruit, or at least they're essentially a weed, but most of what they do is they provide a very faint, much like what you humans smoke. Almost, I believe you call it something with a T, I believe, in common.
I don't know.
Echo?
That sounds about right. I believe it's possibly tobacco, yes.
Huh.
But it's known as pixie fruit because the pixies are known for smoking it and then, well, giving them the lackadaisical and rather dickish attitude.
You see, Vols just kind of gaze around. If there's this. I'm sorry, you said pixie fruit or pixie foot?
Pixie fruit.
Okay. If there's this pixie fruit, do you think some pixies have planted these?
I've told you before, it grows much like a weed. It's everywhere.
Hmm. Well, it could be something to gather. I think I know. Think be something of, I guess, a delicacy.
So you're going to try and grab it?
He is gonna say, in Sylvan, unless there's someone here that's already claimed this before, just to see if he could draw out anybody.
Nothing seems to come to fruition. It's just quiet.
Then sure, I shall attempt to get the funny fey weed.
All right. It's not weed. It's essentially tobacco. If it were weed, well, it was weed. But this is just tobacco. As you go over and start to pick it, you actually start picking off the buds of the flowers because those look to be the most, useful part of the plant. And I need you to make me a nature check here.
Gotcha. Nature.
Nature, I hardly know her. Ha ha ha.
24. And damn it,
Hope,
Clyde.
you really make me. You hope. Sometimes you give me hope that you're a better person, and then it really just comes crashing down.
I'm Michael Scott.
Anyway,
24.
you avoid managing to hurt yourself with this, so it's pretty easy for you to harvest most of this plant. You gather just about a pound of this pixie fruit.
Gay was Sans.
I know, because apparently Twitch just fucking auto mod. I don't get it.
That's so bad. Like, bruh.
Okay. Well then, I think we best just keep going now.
Well, I would suppose rather not be around here.
Mm.
Well, when there's pixies, I'd rather not have to deal with them. Unless you wish to fall into another pitfall. Or some other creature, or magic.
I'd rather avoid such. Thank you.
I agree. Arna leads you guys on for about another hour or so before you eventually reach the familiar outcropping of rock that mixes in with the stone. And you see the familiar outgrowths and overgrowths of stone and ivy and other bits and pieces of grass that immediately seem to hint at the formation of a pock.
Is it a large pock or is it a small one?
Most of them out here on the fringes are pretty small. I mean, they're maybe about the size of about 2-3 pound rock.
Hmm.
Hmm.
They're
Question:
pretty small. Yes. Answer.
Can I take out a silver piece and give it to them?
Take out a silver piece and set it on the ground before one of them. Doesn't seem to stir. Just seems to still be asleep.
Hmm. Is there an awake pock?
Make me a perception check.
16.
16. Through all of these pocks that you can see, most of them aren't glowing. It seems that they're in some sort of a stasis. But as you look over, you see just about maybe 15 or so feet away from you, maybe just a few feet off the path, you do see that there looks to be a relatively young pock, but one that has very large spikes coming out from the back of it. A couple of stalagmites growing from its back.
Okay, we pick up the silver piece, we carefully walk over to it, and we try and feed it the silver coin.
All right, you go over to it, and it slowly turns around on its four little stubby legs, and with the little glowing yellow eyes, just kind of stares at you. And you put the silver piece at its pretty much down by its face, maybe only a few inches away. And in doing so, you watch the pock look at it,
Yeah.
look at you, then look back at it, and it leans in, and you see the mouth kind of unhinge and open up and envelop this little silver coin.
I don't know why, but when you said like you see its mouth open, the only thing I thought of was like Pascal from Tangled, where he'd shoot the tongue out and then just pull it back. Like,
Kind of somewhat like that, but these pocks don't have a tongue.
oh, sad.
They're rock. What do you expect?
Rocks.
These things are you know what? Fine. These beings of pure rock have a wet, lathery pink tongue that somewhere
God,
out of an ethereal hole in their throat appears out of nowhere, dripping in an eldritch pus. Does that help?
No.
Yeah, okay. The pocks do not have a tongue. So the pock leans down and scoops it up with its mouth and shuffles it into its gullet. And you hear the crunching and whining of the silver in its mouth. And you don't really see much of a difference. You hear it grumble with the silver piece in its mouth until you hear it swallow. And then it eventually scrapes at the ground and then settles itself back in and falls to sleep.
So essentially, I just gave a rock a sleeping pill. Got it.
You fed it, you think?
Can
All right then.
I try to look for a awakened pock?
Okay. You know what? Today is Pock training. You guys want to be Pokemon trainers, so the best thing you can find is a Pock. Okay. So, go ahead and make me a perception check, as currently we have Clyde trying to deal with one of them.
Okay. Make you a wait. Take him what to roll?
Perception.
Okay. Uh, 17.
17. Yeah, it's not too hard. I mean, this is a pock farm, and it's a pretty large one at that. So, just beyond maybe about 5-10 feet away from where Clyde is, and somewhere to the kind of southeast, you see that there is a rather young pock that's kind of just walking around. It looks to be maybe no bigger than about 9 inches tall by about 8 inches wide. And it has 4 little stubby legs that it's currently walking its way across. And it looks really funny. It waddles like a penguin as it walks, even with 4 legs.
Well, is gonna carefully approach and offer it. Actually, uh, 2 rings with. Let me see if I wrote down what they had on them. A silver ring and a gold ring. One with a. Oh, they both have blue gems.
Right. So you're giving up 2 rings, and you're just going to feed it to it.
Yeah, he's gonna offer it to him.
Mm-mm. Put the rings down in front of it. And the little pock, walks up to it and looks at it. Make me an animal handling check.
Animal handling. Okay, +2. I got a 21.
The little pock just kind of looks at you. This one, its eyes are a very kind of dull gray with the arcane magic that siphons from it, or at least emanates, as it siphons energy from the Feywild and the material plane. But walks over to the rings, and it leans in. You see its mouth opens, and it starts pecking at the gems. And eventually it works the gems out of the rings and just crunches on the gems themselves. And once it finishes chewing on both of these blue gems, you do see the radiating blue light that comes out of many of the veins, much like almost like a mining vein. If you've ever seen some sort of like iron or so that just seems to course through a rock, the little veins and tendrils that slip out, you see that in those areas are starting to glow a vibrant blue. And you start seeing that in the area, roughly about a 20-foot radius, the other pocks start glowing of the same radiant blue.
It seems like these guys really like their gems.
You now just
And
have 2 gold rings that are damaged.
hmm, he does kind of like try to offer his hand, like trying to like motion to like pat it or like rub its head.
Well, you want to touch it. Okay. You reach your hand down towards this pock. And in doing so, it's just looking up at you through these really antagonizing eyes. It just stare at you, unblinking and unmoving. And your hand comes down and you touch it. Feels very cold. Very cold. And it has a very rough exterior. Like moving over, it feels like sandpaper. And you even find little bits of ridges where stalagmites might start growing as this pock grows in size.
Mm. Well, it was that's much as expected from, well, a being made fully of stone.
But it is cute. I mean, you run your hand over it and you hear this really... It sounds like rocks just grinding together, but you can gather it kind of sounds like a purr. You're not sure. But one can hope.
One can only dream.
Agreed.
I just need to quickly edit that those 2 rings are damaged but recovered. Well then, any kind of listless back is. We should probably just get through this field as quickly as possible and carefully as possible. By this point, he does slowly move his hand away from the awakened Pock.
Okay. As you guys are trying to make your way through this field, once again, I will have you all make me stealth checks, and I will say at advantage because you've done this before.
Yay.
So it won't be too difficult.
Oh, thank God. 21.
Okay.
Oh wow, that's a nat 20 for a 22.
Wow. Niram rolling well for stealth for once.
Rolling well at all for once.
Touche. Touche.
He was about to just accidentally trip over, just slap one of the Pocks by accident.
Clyde, what'd you get for your stealth check?
My brain died for a second. I need one moment.
Okay.
You had one job, Clyde. One bloody job.
Quiet, you.
I wouldn't fault anyone for their brain dying today.
19.
Alright, 19. You guys make it through without a hitch. Rowan. Oh, motherfucker, lucky.
What did he get?
He got an 8 and a 10.
Jeez. At
Alright.
least he has pretty high bonuses, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he does. And
That is-
Aranut, a natural 1 and a 10.
Okay,
Not
can we...
rolling too well for the NPCs today.
All right,
So-
for... Oh, wait, no. 10 is good, right?
Yes, 10
Because it
plus
was
their
at
bonuses.
advantage. Yeah, okay.
Oh, God.
As...
By the way, my other roll was a 3. Oh.
Nice. As you're going through these fields, or this field of sleeping Pocks, you actually find that Rowan is busy taking out a piece of bread and he's not paying attention to where he's walking. And just as he's about to step on one, near him, your hand shoots out and grabs him by the shoulder and pulls him back onto the path. And he looks at you and nods and kind of holds up a piece of bread and nibbles on it.
For a second there, I thought he was going to offer the piece of bread to Narum as a thank you, but
In what
no.
universe?
What reality?
When Poppy was still here.
No, I think that's quite the opposite. If Poppy was still here, it would have only gone worse.
No, I feel like he would
Don't
try
know.
to, like, tumble down the hill. A hill.
He would just try to freaking full on Mario 64 backwards long jump it. To break the last vestiges of physics that exist in this universe.
Me.
I'm sorry.
Actually, out of curiosity, as they're walking down, since this is a Pox place and the only place that really has any showings of stones, are there any actual gems being shown? Like as they walk by?
Any gemstones?
Yeah,
I
as they
mean,
go-
actually, since you're paying attention to this for the first time, go ahead and make me a perception check, actually.
23.
23. As you pay attention to it, this field is laden with gems. There are hundreds of rubies, emeralds, opals, amber pieces. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of gems, both inlaid into these pox and just scattered about like seed being fed to a chicken.
Huh. I wonder why I haven't realized this before, but there's a ton of gems here. Kind of just looks at Arwen. So I take it these pox, right? They eat a lot of gems. But where do all these gems come from, if you don't mind me asking? If you know.
Arda just looks at you and shrugs. To be frankly honest, I have no clue.
Are there any that are like... You said we were on a road, right? Or what could be classified as a road.
It's the same pathway you guys took earlier, yeah.
Is there any gems just like near enough to a road to just that are able to be like plucked?
Yeah, you could pluck a couple of them if you wanted to.
I shall attempt this.
You might make the pox unhappy, but yeah, you can take some of their food.
Both of you to assume that they're all that I'm just gonna keep them all.
All right, so
Stealing food from a pock, you monster.
I'm going to take the food to feed the pox. Slide. Wait a
right. So go ahead and make me, I will say just for the sake of this, make me a sleight of hand check.
Alright, sleight of hand. I don't know if I actually have that. Huh. That's higher than I expected. 21?
21. Oh, yeah. Without any real difficulty, you can pull some of the gems out. You actually make it. You're able to collect 2 diamonds, 3 emeralds, and 5 rubies. And they do come out of the ground with some difficulty, but you manage to grab it.
Oh, those diamonds will be useful later, actually.
Diamonds aren't worth too much. They're maybe worth about 100 gold each.
But what about crafting?
I mean, the diamonds themselves aren't too large. They're maybe about the size of the fingernail of a thumb.
Let me dream.
Yes, Hope.
Let's see. Currently, where would they be now? Since they were on the road, would they be in like the middle? Would they be at the edges?
You're just you guys are currently still making your way through, so you're just in this area. You're in the Pock Farm. And you do see off in the distance the usual small hovel that looks like a hobbit's hut, or at least a hobbit hole, that is buried underneath some bits and pieces of turf and other bits of stone and wood. You do see that is the, or I believe, yeah, you know her name. Nora the Pixie.
All right.
And in that area there, you can actually see that the house looks empty for the moment. It looks like she's out and about doing some sort of work.
You see, Wells kind of gazes over to the house and then like back at Nam. I think we're gonna find that one pixie again. That's caretaking all these pox.
Who knows?
I mean, if we find them, we find them. If we don't find them, we don't find them. That's just how it is. We just need to get out of here at this point.
Well, this is their house, so, I mean, and their farm, so, most likely.
Actually, this makes me wonder something. If this is a supposed farm, what do the poxes produce?
You see Arna shrug. Perhaps she might just do it to grow them. I don't know.
Well, a question to ask her if we do come across.
Maybe they produce more gems.
Well, I know they did that rather interesting glow, but
Maybe the glow has some sort of benefit to it.
no clue. And I got buried back for a moment.
That's all right. But gathering your way through this field of pox, you guys actually managed to make your way to the farmhouse where there's a wide berth between these pox and the front door. So you have some room to finally just stretch out and not have to worry about stepping on anything.
That we know of.
Yeah, that you know of.
I look
You-
out and make sure not to step on any spiders.
You know me too well. But no, there doesn't seem to be anything within the area of the confines around the house.
I still make sure not to step on any spider.
Okay. So, as you guys just kind of set yourselves out and gather some things, make sure everything's ready to go, are you guys gonna wait for the pixie, or are you just gonna head out?
I think maybe waiting for the pixie might be the best alternative.
Zoram shrugs. Eh, it wouldn't be too much of a bother. I mean, to be frankly honest, if we stayed, we stayed. If we don't, we don't. She's had our company before, so I don't believe it'll be too much of a problem.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Well, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere, Arda. And to be very honest, perhaps if a few hours of rest, even if it is just somewhat of a short thing, we might be able to get ourselves prepared for the journey ahead.
True, true. Well, I see no harm in it. Besides, I don't think there's any well, aside from the pox, I'd have no idea if they get violent if such, but I don't see any other beings about aside from that one pixie.
As this is happening, you guys are talking, getting your things set out for a rest, getting a small to-go campsite set up, just something to rest, setting your packs down and finding somewhere to sit. Eventually, you do hear the familiar sound of a pixie's wings flapping. And you look over and see the very small humanoid figure of this fairy-like pixie, dressed in a very nice, what seems to be almost a sundress, laden very heavily with a fine feather blue, with highlights of what seems to be amber and brass color. And she flies herself over and she looks at all of you, rather intrigued. So, how did it go with Daisy?
It actually went quite well. We managed
She's
to get
always so lovable, isn't she?
you
Well,
are quite correct.
I'm glad you enjoyed her as I do. Well, I believe you stopped here because you require some sort of rest, yes?
Yes, the journey was quite long to get to her grove,
Hmm.
and the
Well,
medicine did take quite a bit.
well, while you've been gone, some of the pox have been missing you. It seems the last time you fed them, they rather appreciated it.
Oh,
Yes, I know, trying to steal my own animals from me. She gives you a kind of a rather a smile of like, I'm just pulling.
actually, speaking of, I do have one question, if you don't mind me asking.
That depends upon the question. What question
Um,
can I help answer?
I see you have plenty of pox here, but and that you feed them these gems are scattered everywhere. But you've called this a farm, correct? What do
Yes.
the pox produce, if you don't mind me asking? Or is this simply a form to just create more pox?
Oh, but you see, the pox shed, and when they shed, I believe you've seen them glow when you feed them gems, yes?
That's correct.
Well, eventually, every, 100, 200 years, the pox will eat too much, and eventually that little glow will expand, and then they will shed it, either having one of the other pox rub it off of them, or rubbing it off themselves. And when they do that, it creates a very fine magical powder.
A magical powder, you say? Might I
Yes,
ask about what its properties are?
you may ask.
Um, I've heard of. I believe back in the mortal realm there was this metal that has magical properties, but what does this powder pertain?
Can you keep a secret?
My lips are always sealed.
So can I. Well, you can stay here for rest as long as you like. Just try not to bother too many of the pox. Some of them in their older age do get a bit feisty.
Of course. We won't be a bother.
Alright. So, eventually, the pixie, Nora, flies off once again, and you see her disappear off into her fields of pox.
Magic powder. Well, that drives me a little bit curious, but yeah, I doubt we would ever be dealing with such anytime soon.
Some forces of magic are beyond your comprehension. Anyway.
I'm sorry, I did not understand that.
You weren't supposed to. It was just more of a, this is God, Noah. It was just something I was saying. Anyway. As you guys are setting yourselves out to rest, Niram, you're sitting there just kind of fiddling about with your sword and getting your whetstone to sharpen the blade as usual. Not really needed, but it's just a comfort for you to do at this point. And eventually, you feel a soft breeze that seems to whisper and talk to you. Make me a wisdom save.
The whetstone was the true enemy all along.
Fuck's sake. And that's a 2. Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's a 2. Good enough. As you sit there near him, you hear these whispers in the wind. You're not sure what they mean. They aren't any words you understand. But every once in a while you find yourself nodding along as if you understand, and it's rather weird. But you just return back to sharpening your sword, and all is well again.
The only thought going through Niram's brain currently is, I want to get out of here, I want to get out of here, I want to get out of here.
I want to go home!
I'd take 3 months of traveling on the ship over this.
Yep.
You're about to take 3 more. I guess Volus, like, as they're like saying, he's just kind of just moving what gems on the floor away, so the pox.
No, there are no gems in between the front door of the house and just about 15 feet out. There are no gems there. The pox stay in their little rock solitude, that little rock plain. Think of it kind of like where the pox are. They're in almost like a Zen garden. Like it's a bunch of rock and sand that just preside around them, and they lay in it.
Okay.
And then once you get to the front of the house, it's grass. and the pox stay away from the grass. They seem to reside entirely on stone or sand.
Yeah. I guess one thing that how long he kind of like looks around and decides to speak. How long do you think we're gonna be resting here for?
Arnett shrugs, and then Rowan answers for him. Well, frankly, I want to go home. I don't know about anybody else, but let's get the fuck out of here, please. I need more bread. And he actually picks up what looks to be one last loaf from his sack. This is my last loaf.
Well, then hope
And
you
he
can.
puts it back.
Well, then hope you can ration that. You just see Walls kind of contemplate. They probably don't have enough time for him to just try to make a potion, but he does like hold one of the healing potions he does have, thing like gazing around. Well, then we possibly shouldn't be treading here for too long. Probably just reside here at least an hour, catch our breaths, and well, head back to the.
Agreed, let's go home. And you just see him set his pack out, lay his back down, and put his hat over his eyes for an hour. Stretch out.
I'm gonna go at least explore a little bit, if you don't mind.
He just waves you off. Zoram looks at you and, would you mind some company?
Not at all. Not every day you get to see this, albeit interesting farm, and even much more interesting place.
He nods. Well, I agree with you on that note. So, as you guys walk off and you start getting into the field of the pox, he just looks over at you. So, what do you think?
About what?
This place, the area around it.
I say this place is. Well, the most simple answer would be it's magical, but, well, I guess if I put it to better terms, it's a good place, especially with what affairs that go on
And that's
within the.
exactly my point. If
Oh,
it's a good place here, what is it they're not showing us? What is it we haven't run into yet? That is my question.
I don't know. All I know is, I guess there's more to this place than meets the eye. Especially apparently that, well, that giant spider, Euvorix realm. I believe there's some being trapped in there, but those are affairs that I don't think any of us would ever want to tackle.
Agreed. If there's something like Yvorik, that old man is. Well, if he's good, I wouldn't want to see what's evil around here.
You
Well,
me
this is-
both.
Oh.
What, Clyde?
I was gonna say, while this is going on, can Clyde just like go off and like chill with the pox?
Define chill.
Just sit with them
You're just gonna go out and sit with them.
Yep.
Right.
and scratch them.
Okay.
Oh,
You walk out into the field with the pox. You disturb some of them with your walking. You see some of them kind of grumble up and you see their
Carefully,
heads very
carefully.
gently.
We do it carefully.
Okay. You still disturb some of them, but not as much as you would have. One or two of them do eventually kind of poke their head out of the ground and just kind of watch you as you walk by, seem to have disrupted its sleep. and it sinks its head back in as you see it. Pretty much puts its head in the sand, much like a snake would, and it puts its head in and it rustles side to side until its head becomes covered in gravel and sand. And all that's left is its gigantic body that's stuck out of the ground.
All right.
And you walk over and find a nice little clearing wide enough for you to sit.
Mm-hmm.
You sit down beside a large amount of pox. There's about 7 of them just around you.
We reach over and we gently start to pet it, and then we start to scratch it. If it enjoys it. If not, we stop.
You reach out and touch one of them, and as you do so, you see as its head slowly picks up in the sand and small bits of gravel just fall off, and it looks up at you, and you keep rubbing it.
If it looks to be enjoying it, if it doesn't, we stop.
Eventually, it just sets its head back down and nuzzles it back in, and you just start scratching it. You look over as you feel something tapping against your thigh, and you see a pock about the size of a pebble. It's just popping against your thigh. You look down at it. It looks up at you. And it just stares.
Wait, how big of a pebble are we talking?
The size of your thumb. It's a pebble.
Clyde looks down and waves, being like, hello.
It pops its head against your thigh once again.
We allow this to happen.
Okay. And it just stands there and looks at you.
We wave again.
It pops you against the thigh again. Seems to be that's how it waves.
Alright, we give him a tiny poke, like a tiny little, like barely even a touch on its
you reach
little
down
head.
and you touch its little head, and you kind of wiggle the tip of your finger around, kind of patting the top of its head, and it just stands there, and it vibrates. This is the first time you ever had a pock vibrate.
We immediately look around and see if there's like a gem small enough to feed it.
Make me an investigation check.
Oh, it vibrates. Oh God.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you get a party a pet. You know what? I'm gonna feed it. Oh God. Okay.
It's not like we have a druid that knows how to tame pets or potential pets.
Just because a druid knows how to tame pets. 5. No, there doesn't seem to be one small enough to feed this little pock.
Okay, is there one roughly the size of it?
There are a couple of gems that are maybe about half the size of it, yeah.
Okay, we take one, then we take the hilt of our oh God, is there like a rock? Is there just like a generic rock around that is not a pock?
Do you want to take that chance?
Alright, so we take our boot.
Okay.
Take your boot.
We take the boot and we take our boot off, and then we hold the boot in our hand and hold the gem in the other, and we try and break a piece off for this tiny creature.
You think a boot's gonna do shit?
I'm
actually,
improvising.
that's the thing. You can break a lot of gems pretty easily. Diamonds are actually very easy to break. I mean, if you just put it on the ground and hit it with the hilt of your dagger, you could break a diamond. Rubies are harder to break. Emeralds somewhat hard.
It's all down to crystalline structures.
Yeah. Leave it to the chemist to know that. Thank you, man.
Well, it's just because
chemist magic.
No,
But yes,
God, no.
Diamonds are actually relatively fragile. They're very sharp when you break them, but they're actually very fragile.
Yeah.
Like, the material itself is incredibly hard and dense. It's just due to the structures they form. If you find like one shear line, they break easily.
But yeah, no, we take
Clyde, as you have a gem and you have a diamond in one hand and your boot in the other, and a spout of brilliance near him comes over. Actually, you should use your dagger for that.
Just
And
put it down, hit it with a flat side.
He says, quiet, erasing the gem up like in his hand with like pointing out a finger, being like, quiet, and he sets the gem down on the floor. He proceeds to continue like with his hand in his shoe, and he proceeds to try and smack it so it
Oh god.
There better be some type of
make me a strength check. As you are literally trying to beat the shit out of a gem.
Here's my question. Do we hear this? Just in the background, you just hear like repeated
you guys are walking around through the field, and it's a pretty open field. Nothing is there to really stop you. So you could turn around and see Clyde and just having a shoe on his hand and beating something on the ground.
I got a 13.
All right. As you put it down on the ground and you just completely whack, 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 you keep hitting it with your heavy boot, and eventually it finally seems to hear a little, and you hear it shatter underneath your boot.
Good. We then turn to the Pock, and we're just like, we gesture to the diamond.
All right, you gesture over to the diamond. And it, almost like an ant, it walks around you. And it's weird, because this small Pock, to you, you're a giant. To it, it's an ant to you. To you, you're a giant. And it has to walk around your thigh, around your knee to your front, and then finds the destroyed diamond, goes over and starts munching on it. And eventually, as it munches on enough of it, you do see it starts glowing a very pale whitish gray. And
is it still vibrating?
No, when you stopped petting it, it stopped vibrating.
Okay.
But you see that the Pock here, when it starts glowing, you only see like all of the other small Pocks start glowing. The larger ones seem to just continue their hibernation.
All right.
And for reference, when you fed the older Pock the ruby, about a 20-foot radius turned into this red glow. When you fed a younger Pock, it grew to about maybe 10 to 15 feet. When you fed this one, it's only like making the smaller ones glow.
Mm-hmm. Does it look happy? Is it pleased?
Well, it's munching. It's eating. It's happy.
Okay, good.
And you spend the next like hour just taking you watch this little Pock, and it's the way it moves is it is rather cute. It wanders and waddles around on its four little legs, and the way it moves, it's like a fat little bug.
Oh.
Say no more. I have got a reference pulled up.
Oh god, he has a reference.
Hold the hell up. I shall put it in no mic.
Okay.
Okay, it's loading.
All right. Well, kind of, yeah. Just less humanoid face.
Mm.
Cute.
But with that, it's interesting. Because the Pock is happy with you. It just kind of stays there and vibes with you.
Mm-hmm.
But with you, Volus, you and Zorm, as you're walking around, and keeping an eye on all of these little pox, and then eventually turn around and see Clyde beating the shit out of something on the ground. And that kind of signals you and Zorm to turn back and start walking back over. And it seems your talk is finished.
Clyde, what are you doing? What were you hitting?
He would then gesture to the tiny pock as it's munching.
You look down and hear the soft crunching of what sounds like a diamond going through a almost like somebody putting it into some sort of compression press, or even
I was
a
gonna
normal
think
crusher.
like a meat grinder.
No, it's like a crusher. It's like crunch, 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 crunch. It's not a meat grinder. It's like Jaws. It has to open and close. That's why it's munching. It doesn't just close its mouth like a human can. It doesn't have lips. It
Obviously.
just munches.
Huh. I did not think Pucks got this small. With this, can Volos just look around to see if there are any other Pucks like of this small size?
Sure, make an investigation check.
Just out of curiosity. Let's see. 16.
Insane. Yeah, there are a couple of them, but most of them are buried in the ground.
How many are not buried in the ground?
Are you gonna try and steal one?
Looking around, as far as you can tell, maybe 2 or 3. Not including the one already around Clyde.
Kind of looks back to Clyde. Well, no. At least not that I think. I'll at least feed them. But I don't think I would use my shoe to break a diamond. No offense, Clyde.
As they're just talking, Clyde like takes the shoe off his hand and like puts it back on his foot.
Thunk.
It's fine. It worked.
I mean, I guess it did, so I'll give you points on this one this time. I guess what Volos will do is just, I guess pick up a gem or two, try to crush it with a palm, with the pommel of one of his daggers, and offer the powders and stuff to what tiny pox are around.
All right, you using the pommel of your dagger, you crush this diamond, and eventually this little pock starts crunching on it. But eventually the hour does pass, and you have Aranet finally go over. Well, I think we've rested quite enough. If you want to start going, I believe we should start leaving now.
Well, we'll say everyone else. So this guy just now stands up after just leaving the rest of the crushed up ones for probably the second pock.
Okay. Well, with that, eventually Rowan kind of puts the hat back over his head instead of his eyes and stretches. All right, let's go home. Get the fuck out of here. I'm done with this place. Make a song about it later, but leave.
True.
Clyde looks down to the baby pock and being like, I gotta go now, and he waves.
You wave, and the pock goes over, and pretty much it does the same thing it did, but instead of being able to hit your thigh, it just hits the top of your boot.
Oh. You just kind of like see Clyde's heart melt a little bit as he like quickly gives it like a short like scratch behind what hopefully might be maybe an ear.
Just your fingers are too big to do that because it has a really, really small head. Like its head is the size of a thumbtack.
We use like the pinky. We use the pinky.
Okay, you use the pinky. You go over. You scratch it. It vibrates again.
And then we get up and we carefully walk away.
All right.
Come on, Clyde.
So,
Maybe if we ever have any off chance, maybe we could try to come back here.
Maybe.
all right. As taking the lead, Arnold will take the lead here. If anybody else wants to keep an eye out in case you run into anything, you can.
I'll do that much.
Okay, make me a perception check.
I got 16.
Along the way, you can't help but feel like you're being watched. Again.
Would I know the cardinal direction of where?
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
Natural.
Yes, I think that's why he asked.
I guess Wells just kind of looks about, trying to see if he can figure out where they're being watched.
You're looking around and nothing. It's quiet. And once again, as you kind of gather the semblance of area around you, you're not sure what you're looking for. Until eventually, Arnott just kind of stops you guys. That might be a small problem.
And that is?
He points ahead. There's something blocking our way. And you clear past the next few trees, and you poke your head around and see a large thorn wall has appeared through the main passageway, or at least the main area from which you guys have normally come from the last time you came through. The thorn wall is actually rightly about here.
Well, if my own senses don't deceive me, I have a feeling that we're being watched as well, so kind of just gazes around. I sense that we may have just stumbled into a trap.
Niram,
Mhm.
as you close into this and you eventually see the thorn wall, you feel this gust of wind again. You know which way to go. You know how to get past this.
Not at all concerning, but
Nope.
Naren will just like point into the direction that the wind is blowing and will say, how about we try over there?
Arnott looks over at you. How do you know?
Intuition?
Nerim,
What?
what do you mean by intuition? We barely even know our own.
Rowan speaks up here. We've trusted his gut before, and it's been right, so I think we follow it.
Very well, very well. This doesn't mean I don't have any super or speculations on this. And
You speculate on a lot of things. Why don't you just speculate on the idea that somebody can be right other than you?
kind of just shrugs.
Rowan, wait, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm low on bread. It's really making me upset. I'm sorry.
It's almost like you're sobering up.
Don't remind me. He takes out another small piece of bread and nibbles on it.
Let's just get out of here.
Can bread make you drunk?
For dragonborns, apparently.
Isn't Rowan a half elf?
Oh,
Yeah.
Rowan is a half elf, yeah.
I for some reason got so confused with someone else. My bad. Very well. I want to get to Port Ivy, or at least some town, soon after we've gotten out of here.
But remember, you guys are walking back to Port Ivy.
Oh,
because the other boat already sailed. The Merc's already gone. They gave you that boat, and now they're gone.
Well, we need to get to not Port Ivy to Whitebridge as soon as possible. That way we could get our carts and, well, go along the trail that we did to speed back to Port Ivy. Unless we find a ship that'll take us all the way back to Port Ivy itself, but that in itself is possibly would take a lot longer than on foot.
It's-
Anyways, let us head the direction that Nerum pointed out.
With that, as that happens, following Niram, you actually take the lead here. You're not sure why, but you can feel a breeze. Nobody else does. But you're just following it.
Well, as long as it gets us out of here.
The further and further you follow it, the more twisted and blackened the trees become. And you almost lose track of time with how long this pathway is taking. Until eventually it comes to what seems to be a small circular rift in the trees that looks to be overgrown and warped into such a manner to create almost like a small portal into what seems to be the ground. And it travels underneath into what seems to be a large clump of a root passage.
Nerum, I don't know if this is the gate we took. Does it look different from the gate that they came into?
Yes, this is very different.
I don't want to question it, but how do you know this was here? If you don't mind me asking.
I told you it's basically just a gut instinct. I didn't really think about it.
Well, the only problem is we kind of just looks at this rift.
Let me try to explain the best way I can. Do you know how there's a draft towards an exit in a tunnel?
I mean, yes, but I didn't feel any draft.
Yeah, that's the weird part. I felt one. And it led us here, so,
You sure nothing around here is trying to play tricks on you?
I mean, it's the only lead we got, so might as well give it a shot, right?
Mm. Does the portal, like, show what's on the other side of it, or is it just, like, blocked with a light?
No, it's not a portal. It's essentially, you know how like in a ship, a portal is referred to like a hatch or a doorway? It's called a portal.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's a large circular opening, a portal, that on the sides, on pretty much rounding it, looks like you're walking into a giant root. There are bits and pieces of intertwining what almost look to be a mixture of plants and other veins of things that you just don't know about. You don't know what they are.
No, I don't want to be anyone of disrespect, but this place even gives me a rather chilled feeling.
I mean, I get what you mean, but also, who would, like, think about it from the perspective of the people living here, right? Who the fuck would want a bunch of schmucks like us around?
That actually brings up a good point. Was it me and Rowan, or was it who was it that was with the messenger spider?
Well,
With the messenger spider, that was you and Niram, or that was mainly Niram.
Yeah,
Niram was talking to it, and then you interrupted.
Niram, what about that weird spider that had the message from Yvonne?
I mean, wait, no. You're thinking of something else. You're thinking of the person who tried to ask us for help, I think.
Are you sure this doesn't
I
play a role?
Well, I cordially declined the invitation, so,
Just because one says no does not mean that they won't try anyways.
fair point. I just hope that they're not that kind of, uncouth in their behavior. It would be really mean.
Nodrim, let's think about this real quick. Our original path is suddenly blocked by a field of vines, and you suddenly have this
Thorns.
thorns,
All right.
apologies. And you suddenly get this innate feeling to go down to some pathway, even though we do not know any part of this land, for lack of a better term. And now here we are in a opening of roots, completely away from our original gate, no doubt. You sure that this does not scream a little bit of suspicion in your mind?
Well, probably. But also, what other plan do you have? That gate we came through was like over. How many corrupted elves were there? Dozens at least.
There
Well,
were hundreds of them.
hundreds of crocodiles.
We really want to go through there again?
They're not crocodiles. They are corrupted elves.
To be fair, hundreds of crocodiles would be just as evil.
It made me pause for a second when you said crocodiles. I was like, wait, did I miss something?
Yes, clearly.
Yes, Batman. You can never get past my 100 corrupted crocodiles.
Naren, you forget. I can fly, and I can make other people fly. We could.
Well, yeah, but last time we were lucky enough that
thought
they
you
were
were gonna-
asleep.
I thought you were gonna say that you were gonna make other people cry, not fly.
My God.
You
I mean,
can do
that
that
could
too.
happen. Why would you want to be the first? No, I'm kidding.
Make me.
But the thing is, even if that is the case, we would still know where we are once we go back to the our lands. Whatever you're leading us, if this even will take us back or not, we won't know where we'll be.
I mean, arguably, I lost track once we left that freaking, that pork farm.
I mean, back in our plane.
Oh, well,
For
who
all
knows,
we
maybe
know,
we'll get lucky and we'll show up near Port Ivy.
just don't say I didn't warn you. All right?
I get it. I'll take responsibility.
Very well, then.
Rowan just kind of pushes you both out of the side. All right, get the fuck out of the way. I'm going home. And he just starts walking in.
Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm taking responsibility for everyone's actions but his.
Then
He puts a middle finger up as he walks down.
Then lead on, oh great navigator of this. Hey.
Nerem's already gone. He's just going after Rowan.
Rowan marches down, and if any of you have ever seen One Punch Man, he's walking like Saitama. He's just marching his way down without a care in the world. He just wants to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it reluctantly follows.
Clyde follows as well. My
Rowan,
heart breaks that I have to leave the pock behind.
You can come back to see him later. It's okay. Maybe he'll have grown. But
And where is it that we're going right now? Just out of curiosity.
You're trying to get out, and the original pathway you guys took was blocked somehow.
Look, we were here, and then we just went in a random direction, and now we don't know where the hell we are.
Oh wait, if the direction we came is blocked, can't we just go over what's blocking it?
It was a giant wall of thorned vines.
Can we dig under it?
It's a giant wall of thorned vines. They grow from the ground and from above.
Wait, what if we just went around it?
It's a giant wall of thorned vines.
There has to
What
be
if
an
we
end
went
somewhere.
through it?
That would be like going through a paper shredder.
We have swords.
You know what? Rocks fall, the party dies. Woo! That's a good game, everybody. No, it's but no. Most of what's actually going on is as Rowan takes the lead, Niram, you follow close behind. And eventually this darkened tunnel becomes lit with a yellowed light. As you just look around and see that it's almost like fireflies.
Oh,
You see is the gentle glow every once in a while. One of them will flicker out and then reappear in a different area. And you can't help but fear that, or feel, but while this is it's beautiful to look at and watch. But the more you watch it, there's still a lot here you don't understand. And it's starting to somewhat get under your skin.
I want to try and no, I'm gonna
Hello,
try
Bo.
to detect magic. See if what was around is. I guess try to see how magical this tunnel is.
Have fun getting flashbanged.
You cast a spell and fuck! Shit! You have to close your eyes from just how much the sheer amount of magic is just around you. You are in the Amber Forest. There is nothing but magic in here.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Ah, yes, the blades of grass even possess magical capabilities of a level 10 wizard.
Not exactly that high, like maybe a level 7, but yeah.
Oh,
The grass is stronger than us. Fuck.
oh god, this makes me question what the pixie fruit level is.
You smoke it and you get enough XP to rise up to level 8.
Oh god.
Alright, calm down there, Snoop Dogg.
Tasty.
But with that, you trail through it, and eventually you start feeling the gentle incline as you're now walking up instead of down. And you've been walking for what feels like a few hours. So you have no idea where you guys are. As it opens up, the air around you is cold and stifled. And the further up you get, it becomes thicker with almost a choking miasma. It's hard to breathe.
Well, Rowan.
It's sappy and it sucks.
Well, Rowan, I don't know why, but I think I have this feeling that we're about to find out what we've talked about.
Rowan looks over at you and, alright, you know what? Try and be optimistic. For 5 fucking seconds. Because I'm just trying to get home. Please.
You know that I am blunt in this sort of situation.
Yes, you're blunt, but not optimistic. Be optimistic. Think happy thoughts. Tired of these negative waves. You see what happens with negative waves? This is what we get. Think positively for 5 fucking seconds, please.
If you say so.
Pulls out another piece of bread and nibbles on it. And he nibbles really closely and actually starts chewing on his nail.
Why is he showing
starts
signs of
walking.
withdrawal?
And as he steps up through the opening of the tunnel. He stops, turns around, and starts walking back down the tunnel. Nope. You can deal with that. Nope. Nope.
Well,
Nope.
just kind of just gazes over to what he was walking towards.
You walk up, and the low settling miasma to the ground is thick like a pea soup fog. Staring around, you see the trees around you are settled into almost a prison-like cage. Thick redwoods nestled side by side, not allowing any inch between them.
Yeah, no, we're gonna follow Rowan and just be like, nope.
Twisted branches that seem to coalesce into an extra rendition of protection and an additional wall just immediately seem to puff out from these thick redwood walls. You see that there are twisted and corrupted small ferns on the inside, each of them blackened and crystalline like the ones you've seen outside the gate when you first entered. Bits and pieces of trees looking as ancient as the ones you've seen outside, much like the Ent, are settled there, dug into the ground. Looks like they're waiting for something. And as you step further up into it, you're in some sort of a grove. The grass beneath you crushes like some sort of glass. And you start realizing it's frozen. As you step into it and this grass crunching beneath your feet, you hear the sound of rushing water. And you look over, maybe about 50 to 60 feet away from you. There's what looks to be about a 5-foot wide stream of water encircling what looks to be a giant elder tree. The tree itself looks to be an amalgamation of several other species, and also of some that you just don't understand. You see it pulse and radiate with a sort of energy you can ill comprehend aside from that of almost godhood. But you see, even it has a twisted and corrupted bark, bits and pieces of it turning black, and pieces of moss drooling ichor. And you see down at the base as to why this might be. You see what looks to be a humanoid man, an elf. Cracked gray skin with moss growing over the chest and shoulders.
Did I mention nope? Because nope.
Cobwebs and spiderwebs adorn like a headdress. As you see the body from the head down all the way to the hips is completely combined into this tree as if some sort of lock. The arms are sunken and twisted back into themselves inside the tree as like some sort of ancient rite of keeping the hands locked and this tree grew around them. The eyes are closed. The mouth is closed. There's no facial expression except that of almost like a comatose patient. And it's just, you just stare at this thing.
You don't think this is what the cause is outside, or never that being that wanted to assist?
Narum just kind of looks at the situation, and his face turns into fucking processing mode. Like, he needs to analyze this situation because he doesn't know where to begin.
As you all enter, Zoran follows behind, and Aranet immediately as he steps in. You see him looking around. He knows where he is. And Rowan, eventually, you find him walking his way back in, and he looks defeated. The tunnel's sealed behind us. We can't get out.
Well,
Clyde
shit.
Clyde just puts his hands on his head, being like, "Fuck!"
Well, this is the worst time to say anything. So I can really say is prepare for the worst.
Question:
Yes.
What is
answer.
everyone's spells here? Do we have anything that's related to fire? Maybe we can burn our way out. Do we
Time
have?
to cast fire. Nah.
I guess Scorching Ray and Scorching Ray. Oops, I've started a forest fire.
I mean, they'll forgive us. Hopefully, it can be controlled, right?
As this is going on, and you all step in, and
You
you
can
hear the
control
sound.
fire, right?
You hear the sound of crackling vines and
Yep.
groaning wood as you look behind you and see that the tunnel you just came out of is now sealing with vines until it is covered completely. And you go over and step on it, and it feels like a solid chunk of wood, like you're stepping on a tree.
Anyone else wish they just stayed at the pox farm?
Anyone else wish we could have just had a freaking door appear and go, here's your exit?
Yeah. Can we make a door?
Are we just gonna carve a door into the wall? And be like,
Yes.
we're just gonna pull a
Sadly-
Pan's Labyrinth and just open it. We're out.
Sadly, none of you have the robe of useful items, or the magical painter's paint.
You
know what would be really useful? Just like a bag of holding in a portable hole. I'd rather be in the astral realm than this.
You know what?
Actually, it's the ethereal
No.
plane. You don't get
We-
pulled to the astral; it's the ethereal
Damn it.
plane.
We take out the French horn, and we proceed to try and charm the vines to let us out.
Okay, make me a performance check.
Val is in the meanwhile, he is like prepping himself.
25 with a nat 20.
Okay, you play the smoothest jazz you can, and nothing happens.
What?
Why do I feel like the vines are deaf?
Yes.
Clyde continues to play even harder than he was before.
What interesting music you play.
Oh shit, Clyde immediately just oh shit, immediately removes his French horn.
Just starts
from
choking on the
himself.
fucking French horn.
Removes the French horn from himself and just shoves it in his bag. And nope, no music here.
Yeah, you guys look over and see the eyes are now open on this figure cast into the tree. And the mouth is moving as it speaks in several different tongues at once. Looking into the mouth, you see that there's not only one tongue, there's three. Each a separate entity of the body. You see a serpent's, a human, and what seems to be a third one that you just can't seem to make out. It almost seems to be made out of shadow.
This is when we get our knees and we start praying to death.
Okay, any clerics here? Can we roll for divine intervention?
Sadly, you guys don't have a cleric.
Damn it.
Clyde immediately switches classes. All right, I'm joking.
Everyone starts becoming a fucking acolyte.
As this thing is trapped in this tree, it just stares at all of you. The eyes wandering over a beautiful amber gold, no irises, much like that of a tiefling. Welcome to my abode. A pleasure to meet all of you. And his eyes shift over to Nero. Especially you.
Short question. First off, very nice to meet you as well. Second off, I think we've taken a wrong left turn. Could you, like, maybe just show us the door over to the prime material plane? Please?
Only for a deal.
Just looks over to Valis, almost seeking approval, because, like, I don't know how to answer.
Arnott speaks up here. I will make no deal with you. You just see the creature, you see the eyes roll. You're a puppet of the prince, I pity you. But I wasn't speaking to you, was I, puppet?
You just see Nerum's head turn over to Arnott and just like, care to explain?
We need to leave now. I don't care how we do it, we need to leave. Do not listen to anything he says. They are poison and they are corruption.
You know what? I'm saying this much. There, I was fucking right in this.
Yeah, no, I'm not. You know, you're right. You were right.
How can you trust the words of someone you barely know? You trust his words, but you don't trust mine.
Well, I do not see him trapping us into this underground cavern.
That's because he wasn't falsely imprisoned. I am stuck here because I tried to save people. I tried to save life.
I have a quick question. Are these vines similar to the ones that we saw previously, out in the wild with those creatures that were trying to attack us?
Yes.
Yeah, no, Clyde's just immediately like, look, man, thank you for the offer, but the offer is, no. For right now, will you kindly please let us go?
Niram, he looks over at you. And you just see this really wicked smile come across his face. And it's charming.
Uh-oh.
I think you have the correct answer. And I need you to make me a charisma save at disadvantage.
Oh, don't fuck me. Don't fuck me. Worst case, wait, I need to check. I need to double check one thing real quick.
Oh, God, I need to update my spells or else I would have picked
Where's my sheet? I am a berserker for a reason.
I got a question.
Does anyone have counter charm?
A second, yes.
I have counter spell. Can I try to use that?
Well, he was in the middle. He already cast a spell.
Oh,
you could have casted it earlier, but he's already cast it. You can't stop it now.
Let's see how this goes.
Can I do? I don't have my spells updated, but can I cast counter charm?
Oh my god!
Can I try and
guys?
Him?
Guys,
oh,
it's a fucking 19 with disadvantage. It was an 18 and a 19 with a +1.
Okay, 19.
Holy shit!
So Nero, what is your answer?
I'm sorry. Nah. Can we please just leave?
The smile fades. And goes down to that of somewhat of a small frown. Such puppets you are too. Corrupted by the ways of the mothers of the forest. You listen to lies and sit upon them like a throne. The thorns I grow are to protect myself and my things that live. And yet all you do is build upon lies. You see him make a small motion with his eyes. Go on, puppets. Leave. We'll find someone else.
Said too much time. I said, let's go.
I just checked. It would have been irrelevant if I started to rage because I only get mindless rage at the 6th level. So yeah, would have been fucked either way.
But you just see this thing trapped in the tree, and with a small motion you see as the vines once again start opening up in the tunnel you entered in from.
We immediately start to book it once we make sure that everyone else is out of safely, of course. Particularly Narum. Narum goes first.
I don't want to go first.
Now,
You're
it's pretty
going
clear that
first.
this person has a particular interest in you specifically. You're leaving.
All right, and he just books it.
Niram, you leave. Who's next? Or is everybody just leaving at once?
You guys go up ahead. I'll heavily blast.
Rowan looks at you and says, I'll
Nope.
just go. Look, I am pissed off at 7 different types of things in this world, and this is now one of them. So please, just let me go last.
Definitely start to go as well.
Clyde
You leave
refuses
Velos.
to let Niram, sorry, not Niram, Rowan go last and kind of like links his arm with Rowan being like, we're walking out together, buddy.
And looks at you. All right, fine. I'll go with you. But we go out last.
Yep.
Eventually, Arna just leaves. Make me a perception check.
Who?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Perception is a 0. 12. Yeah, 12.
Nope. You don't notice anything.
Oh no.
And you and Rowan leave.
Is everyone else out of the party out?
You guys leave. You guys are out. And you walk through the tunnel, and by the time you're out and it seals behind you, it is quiet. It is dark. And you guys are exhausted. It has been a very long day of traveling.
Once we get back up to the surface, I think we should just go and make camp.
Clyde does a head count.
Everybody's there.
Are we?
We poke everyone just to be sure.
And go and poke everyone. Yeah, they seem to be everybody that you guys know.
Why did you poke me, Clyde?
Something feels off, man. I don't know what it is.
Let's just head to the gateway, take a rest before there. And then we'll figure out what we got to do from there.
Something still feels fishy, man.
Right
Something
now.
feels off. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. Clyde proceeds to look around.
All right. Keeping an eye out and proceeding to look around, it's still something is bugging you and you're not sure what.
Are there eyes in the trees?
Well, there are always eyes in the trees.
Are there
As long as
different
it's
eyes
worth-
in the trees?
Make me a perception check.
19.
19. There are a lot of eyes in the trees. And they are watching you intently.
Is it like a malice intent? Like what kind of...
You don't know.
Oh god, that's the worst kind of intent. Unknown. Oh no! Kind of see Clyde starting to go like a little bit mental with paranoia.
As this happens, It's taking you such a long time to get there that you start walking your way back to what is hopefully, since you still see your tracks, your way back to the main thorn wall, see if there's any way through it. And eventually, as you do, you hear the sound of, once again, it sounds like creaking bark and groaning wood. In doing so, you come across a familiar, gigantic creature. A being made of wood, arcanum, and moss. You see its back, as you did once before when it was leading you through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And it's familiar to you. It's Vonanum. The end. And you see his large hands, much like a gardener, are starting to take bits and pieces of these thorn vines and are twisting them through his hands. And you see a very soft magic emanating from it. And every time he does this, you see as each of these vines seems to turn into a beautiful strand of lilies grown upon some sort of very thin rosebud vine.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
You can currently see as he's working his way through individual little strips of this wall and has so far created a very nice and pretty decent passageway through them.
Venom, we meet again.
You speaking in common?
Sylvan.
Okay. As Vonanum is currently working his way through these thick vines. Ah, it is good to see you again. Your words are still weird.
Still working on getting used to this.
Well, it seems I've run into you over here. Once again. I'm not sure where these vines came from, but I will deal with them for you.
Thank you. Willis kind of looks at the vines, or the thorny vines. Are they the same one that the trapped guy like summoned before?
Yes. As
Eh,
as Clyde asked the same question, I'll answer with the same answer. Yes.
Venom. For lack of a better
Mm.
term, we sadly, I believe, met the cause of these vines.
You see him stop for a moment. Oh, have you?
Yes, and for the sake of not getting involved in this realm's antics, we did our best to leave such a place.
Hmm. I see. This time, Vonanum releases the last vine he's been working on and slowly turns towards you. The heavy sound of his giant tree trunk legs hitting the ground, the groaning of the wood, and the sound of creaking bits of bark that just emanate from his old and ancient form. He turns towards you. The charming face of the kind of puffy cheeks, the old eyes and the brow that comes down across with thick-set eyebrows, the heavy beard of moss and leaves. Ah, I hope your conversation was short.
It was as brief as can be.
He nods.
It is not the will of an old shepherd to get into the business of others.
Believe me, I do not believe that any one of us had the thought of getting acquainted with this
Mm.
individual.
I have spoken with the prince.
You see Aaron looks up. You have you? What has he said?
Much about you, actually.
Oh,
It seems the prince has need of you.
Arnold just kind of points to himself, and he nods.
Yes. He has allowed for the passage of your friends out of our beautiful forest. Through his arcane prowess, gifted by the mothers, of course. And he will allow you your destination, should you wish somewhere other than outside the forest.
I see.
But his request is for young Aaron here to stay.
And it looks at Iron.
And he looks at you guys, and as much as I love staying in your companies, my one dedication is to the prince.
I see. I see. Maybe if, or more precisely, when your duty for the prince is done, maybe you could seek us out one day. It has been quite the journey, and of you guiding us through this beautiful forest.
He gives a nod, and the pleasure has been mine, I must say. A pleasure to meet all of you. Well, our last few moments together haven't been entirely pleasant, having met the one bastard in this entire fucking forest who decides to want it to burn instead of live.
Maybe one day, well, we at least know where the entrance to this great fortress is. Maybe someday we will come back and visit, as there is alternative entrances to this lush place.
He nods. Hopefully on the better terms, yes.
Indeed. Maybe something to seek out once we return and heal our injured companion.
Perhaps. But again, it was a pleasure. Perhaps one of these days I might actually visit that village instead of being scared off all the time.
Actually, here. And you see Paul's just fiddle around with his pocket before pulling out a sigil. It was gold and it had a draconic look to it. Take this. If anything, those at Port Ivy would know about us at least, to some degree. If they say that you're with us, that hopefully they do not chase you off like the ones at Dunganon have done.
Perhaps. It'll call for a little bit of luck. But with any hope.
I see. He's
Well,
still offers.
I'd rather not keep the prince waiting. And for the sake of it, I know you, and he looks over to Rowan, would like to go home quickly. Rowan's like, yeah, you bet your ass I will. So, can we, wrap this up and go? Yes. Apologies for keeping you for so long. He looks over towards Vonanum. Well, I believe we're ready to go, old man. If you wouldn't mind. You see Vonanum nods.
Well, allow me to finish this bout of magic for you.
And in doing so, you watch as over the course of the next 30 minutes, Vonanum creates a portal of his own. Out of the twisted thorns that have been corrupted and poisoned, you see he creates a beautiful and vibrant hallway of flowers and green, luscious vine that eminently start pulsing with a pure purple and yellow light. And the old ant kind of steps by. And he steps out of your way.
Always full of surprises till the end.
An old ant has many things to offer. Sometimes they aren't always too apparent.
Well, Vanham,
Hmm.
yet that it is nearing our end of the journey. We also thank you for guiding us through the first leg of our journey. Just see a bright smile of all us.
The old ant flashes a smile that would be quick in ant terms, but in your terms, it takes him a good 2-3 minutes for this smile to creak across his face. Like an old man, and proud, just gives you a smile. And he puts his hand aside this beautiful portal, and you see as the purple hue turns to blue and mixes with the yellow. And you see as it eventually turns a milk white and then fades into a soft gray of little pulsating drops of water. It seems your portal is ready.
Maybe someday
And
we'll... Oh,
that is where we will end tonight's session.
that was a
Nice.
fun one.
I'm glad
Well-
I didn't mess up that save. Because
Well, I'm glad you guys got to meet the corrupted king.
Is that going to be the big
Ooh.
bad?
He is known as Kavan, the Corruptor.
Havan the Corruptor. Shit.
He has many titles. He is Kavan the Corruptor, Kavan the Poisoned, the Corrupted King, the Jewel of 1,000 Blackness. He's a very evil man. But that's for you guys to find out later. Anyway,
I do hope we find some way to come back to you. This is a very interesting.
I want to interact with the pox.
I want my
Look,
pet rock.
You know what? Hope. Look, maybe we could try to figure out and try to talk to the prince to see if we could get some way to enter the forest again to a
No,
run.
I don't want to take a pock home with me. That'll be too much work. But I
No,
want
I'm-
to play with them.
Clyde,
pox are actually really low maintenance. They normally hibernate for like years until
They-
somebody disturbs them.
They still need care.
I know, Clyde. I
They
did say like we
require-
take one. I'm not
They
saying we-
require more work than an actual rock.
But yeah, no, Clyde. I wasn't saying like we take a puck. I mean, getting a device maybe to try to come back, so that way we could, I guess, quote unquote, interact with the pox.
But anyway,
Yeah.
As we end today's session, I will go ahead and say to you on Twitch, hello there. Welcome and goodbye. We haven't interacted much, but we hope you have enjoyed yourselves here amongst the rest of our shenanigans and stories. I know I'm not the greatest narrator, but hopefully you enjoyed the rest of the antics from the party. If you did enjoy, perhaps you could drop a follow, and even join us again next Saturday when we play again at just about 2 o'clock to 2:30 p.m. East to about 8 o'clock to 8:30 p.m. European.
Yeah,
But-
Central European time.
Yeah, Central European, thank you. But other than that, I want to beg, but Behemoth won't let me, so I'll turn
Yep.
it over to him as I say, adieu, au revoir,
All right, we get it.
and
Adios.
adios.
All right. First off, thanks to anyone who showed up. I'm glad to see people still coming out for these. Also, Cyber, thank you for the follow. I wasn't able to address it earlier. But yeah, if you want to catch up on the old sessions, we do have a playlist. Let me just enter the command. I do have a Discord server. It gives you a ping when you like get the stream stream viewer role, in case you don't want to miss anything. Worst case, check if you have notifications on Twitch if you don't want to miss anything, or if you don't care, do whatever. But yeah, there is a Discord server. It is pretty bare bones. Don't expect much there. And yeah, as Grape said, we'll probably do the same thing next week if nothing goes wrong. Which, oh lords above, a lot of things have gone wrong in the past. Hopefully not anymore, though. Or at least less so. But yeah, with that, I bid you farewell and take care with the rest of your day.